Welcome to another exciting edition of Roadmap Plus for our team managers in Destination Imagination. We know you all have a lot going on as you're helping your teams through that creative process. So today we're going to talk about a big DI concept on a small time frame. I am joined today by Erica Begun-Veenstra and Amanda Potter from the Educational Experiences Department. If you've ever wondered stuff like, how do those challenges happen? The answer is it takes dozens of folks, but these two lovely ladies are at the center of it to make sure that all of those tasks are accomplished. So let's talk about one of everybody's favorite topics in DI, paperwork! Yay! So as you're in crunch time and your team is about to go to the finish line of attending a tournament, it's a big accomplishment, they're doing a lot. One of those things they do need to do is some paperwork. So this is a frequently asked question that we get when it comes to tournament time in our season. So let's talk about it. I know both of you have some tips, some recommendations for how to approach those forms. So tell me all about it. Amanda, what do you want us to know about the paperwork?
So actually, the first thing I want everybody to know is that for most tournaments, it's actually not going to be paperwork anymore, which is really exciting. We have
digital form work.
Yes, online forms. We have some amazing volunteers who have been working on digitizing our forms for us for the past couple of years, and they've just done an incredible job. So we're very grateful to them. For your team, every single team will need to fill out your online tournament data form, team challenge prep checklist, and instant challenge prep checklist. And then with the exception of improvisational challenge teams, all teams will also need to fill out the expense report and provide receipts. And it's just really exciting that all of those forms are found within the resource area. The other really cool thing about online forms is that you can start working in them. Type out your answers, leave, come back later. Your answers will be saved. You can edit them all the way up until the time to submit. So you don't have to feel like you have to sit down, type everything out, and then submit right away. You've got some time that you can think about it up until the deadline that your tournament sets for submitting the form. So that's a really nice feature that we have now that they're online. You probably want to know where those forms are located, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So they're in the resource area. Once you log into your account, you're going to click on Teams and then My Tournaments. Once you're on that page, you'll find the forms for each of your teams. There'll be little pencil icons. And when you click on the pencil, you can edit all the information on that form. So that's pretty cool. Once your forms have been submitted, on that My Tournaments page is also where you'll find the resource area messaging system, which is a really neat feature that allows you to communicate with members of the appraisal team if necessary. Probably the person that you're going to communicate with the most is the prep appraiser if your tournament is doing like a pre-tournament review. That prep appraiser may just review your submission, make sure everything is A-OK. If it's not, they'll let you know, hey, there was a slight issue with something you submitted. You may want to fix this before the tournament. So they'll send you a little message through the messaging system, and then your team can update that before tournament day.
Yeah, I got to say, that's one of the most exciting takeaways from our experience during 2020 and beyond was getting those forms in a digital format. And that's something that even once we went back to in-person, hooray, that we still got to utilize that feature. So that was a really cool transition there. So Erica, once we've found the forms, we know where they are and how to fill them out online. What should we keep in mind as our teams are going through that process?
So you're going to notice that there are character limits for each of the long answers and even for some of the short ones. So when you're filling out your forms, we want you to be thoughtful and thorough, but concise, keeping in mind that our appraisers only have a little bit of time to read your answers and understand exactly what you want to have scored during your team's presentation. And this is really your chance to do it. So be clear, be concise, make sure you give them all the information they're going to need in order to award your team the points that you've earned. Since these are the notes that your appraisers are going to use in order to understand your team's solution, it's really important to actually not leave them to the very last minute. When you leave them to the last minute, you rush your work. And as we all know in DI, rushed work sometimes needs a little bit of duct tape to hold it together. So you want to take time during a team meeting a week, 2 weeks or so before your tournament to fill out your team's tournament data form, all the other forms you're going to have to fill out so that you have your answers prepared, your team knows what they're going to say, and that you're sure that they are ready for the appraisers.
Yeah, I've got a question about that for you, Erica, because I know a lot of teams wait as long as they can so that they have the full picture of their solution before they're answering it, writing about it in these forms. So roughly, there's no such thing as an average team, right? But how much time should the team expect to devote to answering these questions in their forms?
It totally varies on the team. Some teams, especially more experienced teams, can produce these answers in an hour, 2 hours. Some teams it might take longer, and some teams will review and revise for days or weeks or however long they're going to do it. But I would recommend, spending a good chunk of time, 20 to 30 minutes minimum on those longer questions. And obviously the shorter ones, which just a little phrase or a little snippet might not be as much time.
Yeah. Amanda, you've got something to add to that?
Yeah, I think something that may be helpful is just to have the team members sit down and write every little thing they could possibly want to write on this form in a Word document or a Google Doc or something like that. Just get all of their ideas about what they want the appraisers to know on a page, and it's probably going to be way too long. And then after everything is out of their brains and in some sort of document, then they can go back and figure out as a team, what's the most important point? What do they absolutely need to know? Can we use one word to say the same thing that we use 8 words to describe? Is there a way to rephrase so that we can be clearer or more concise in our answer, but still get across a similar amount of information? That may be a useful exercise.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's great. Oh, and Erica's got more. The fun keeps going.
Amanda mentioned Google Forms, but collaborative writing tools are really important for things like this. And it's actually a really important skill that your team can develop by putting things into one of those collaborative document tools, Google Docs or whatever you're going to use, so that you can work together and you can learn another type of teamwork in this process.
Yeah. I think all of that is great, and I think is particularly great for, I think a question I often get is well, my team is new, or I have elementary kids, how do I get them to do this part of the process too? And I think those collaborative tools are definitely a great resource for those teams in particular.
Absolutely, yes. As soon as they get that answer finalized, they copy and paste it right into the actual online form. Just keep in mind, we can't accept Word docs or Google Docs or anything like that. So that would only be a tool to use to formulate the response.
For creation, not for submission. Lovely.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So these are great tips about the tournament forums. I understand though that there are some additional resources for if you have questions about that part of your process before you go to tournament. Erica, what else we got? Yeah,
Kelsey, we have created a step-by-step guide to help walk you through filling out those online forms. Be sure to check it out. It's in the Tournament Guide for Teams, which you can find in the documents part of the resource area. It will be released later in the season. Usually December, January is when we put that up there for you. You can also find more information about the online forms through the team manager training in the Destination Imagination Learning Management System and in Rules of the Road.
Yeah, I know in particular, the expense report usually has a lot of questions that are associated with it about what's exempt, about what's not, and that not only is that really clearly addressed in the Rules of the Road, but there is a module on Adobe Captivate Prime that helps walk through some of the frequently asked questions about that. So that's another great resource too. All right. These are all excellent tips. Is there anything else that you would like us to know about tournament forms?
The appraisers are really excited to read them.
Yeah, they are. That's awesome. All right. I have one more question for you. What is one thing that you wish all team managers knew about DI?
I wish all team managers knew that everyone from the very beginning of the process to the very last moment of your final tournament, everybody who is volunteering for DI, working for DI, wants your team to succeed. They're cheering you on, they're rooting you on, they're hoping that everything goes perfectly in your team's presentation. They're hoping the instant challenge is flawless, and they're hoping that in the event that that's not necessarily the case, that your team finds a way to find the silver lining.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thanks, Amanda. Erica, what's one thing you wish all team managers knew?
I want you to know that what you do matters. It doesn't matter where your team places in the tournament. The lessons that your team learns and that they take with you will last them a lifetime. And that as a team manager, you are truly making a difference.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you so much. Amanda Potter, Erica Begun-Veenstra from the Educational Experiences team here at Destination Imagination. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you have other questions about those tournament forms or about other aspects of your experience as a team manager, you are welcome to reach out to us at volunteer@dihq.org, and we'll get you an answer to that question as soon as we can. Here at Roadmap Plus, we would like to acknowledge that today's episode was recorded on land originally inhabited and cultivated by the Ojibwa, Lenape, and Shawnee nations. We are very grateful for this land and to the people who have stewarded it for generations. I'm your host, Kelsey Selleck. We'll see you next time on another exciting episode of Roadmap Plus.